All right, if you've seen my previous videos on my direction of going smaller for wargaming, and specifically in the Warhammer uh, genre, you know that I've already unboxed an Eldar Legion box for Space Marine Battles. That is the version of Epic that I will be playing. And I decided that I needed to have another army to face off against my Eldar. And that's what this box is. I actually got this from Mindtaker Miniatures. They are a great little shop out of Vancouver, Washington. They carry a lot of secondhand and used miniatures, and my previous purchases from them have been for Warhammer. So obviously, I always go to them to see what they got, and I happen to get a bunch of orcs for Space Marine Battles or Epic 40K, and that's what I have in here. It's a good foundation, I think, um, for getting that started. I don't know. I looked at the listing and it said 86 stands of orc mob. I don't know specifically. After looking at the pictures a little bit more closely, this might be a more fully fledged army, or at least foundation for an army, than my Eldar Legion, because there will be different stands in here other than like just regular orcs. I also added the battle wagons. I was trying to emulate getting the orc mob boss for Space Marine battles. And I figure getting the infantry and then the battle wagons is a good foundation. And then I look more closely at the orc army that I purchased, and it seems to have more than just the regular orcs and battle wagons. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. If you're looking for Warhammer secondhand miniatures, Mindtaker Miniatures in Vancouver, Washington might be a good place to go check that out. You can look them up on eBay. That is how I found them. You can also, I believe they have a website. I will link that in the description below. So I'm going to open this box up. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside. Very finely packed. Looks like they added some M&Ms for me here. But here is their website. So there you go. All right. And very nicely packed, as I try to pull this stuff out. There seems to be quite a lot of stuff. Everything is bubble wrapped properly, so you can rest assured that if you make a purchase from Mindtaker, and this video is not sponsored by them, I just really enjoy purchasing from them, that anything that you purchase will be safe. So really not sure what all is in here. I guess we can just start by opening up a few. And I'm going to get my knife here. I guess I could just, don't really need a knife, I can just open it up from here. So this is the first group of stands. Not sure what's in here. Looks like infantry. Some of them painted. I'm going to try to zoom in here. So some infantry here with a heavy weapon. And I'm not sure if these are organized in any groups here. So there you are. Looks like one with a knob or a boss. Probably a knob. And then there's another stand with a heavy weapon. So some of them are painted. And then it looks like we are going to be going through many, many stands. Again, I think the lot that I bought was 86 stands. So there you go. They're pretty cool. Definitely very orky. Now, I don't know if I should just go through all of these stands, but obviously there's quite a variety now, even with this first bubble wrapped portion of it, there's quite a lot of stuff here. So, and while these are 6mm, I think what's going to be pretty awesome is once you see these on the gaming table, it becomes very impressive. There's one that's mostly painted. I will be repainting these. Not sure to what kind of orcs I'm going to paint these, but that is very cool. All right, definitely a lot more variety than my Eldar Legion. I think we'll go with another one here. If they end up being more of the orc infantry, we'll probably skip some of this. Again, there's quite a few stands here, so there's a lot to go through. All right. So, okay. So here's one with heavy weapon. Here's one stand with axes. Okay. Partially painted. I'm going to have to figure out how to organize these guys because obviously they look all just a little bit different. Here's one with a flag. Maybe we can use this as a command stand for a unit. I'm not familiar with Space Marine Battles version 1 or 2. I am in the process of getting documentation and books and all that stuff. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to play this. Initially, I did this because I started getting into Legions Imperialis, which is the modern version of Epic, set in the Horus Heresy. But I had such a great time as in my youth playing Final Liberation, which was an Epic 40K game back in the day, that I wanted to kind of relive that, but on the tabletop since I'm a wargamer. So I'm just going to go through these real quick. A lot of them are pretty much similar or the same. We will open up another baggie here. Haven't gone to the point where I am. Let me get these out of the way. Where I started opening up the battle wagons, and there were quite a few battle wagons in the lot that I purchased or added. So definitely going to have more than enough to field a large orc force. And in fact, because of that, I may need to catch up a little bit. Yeah, a lot of these are pretty much the same. So I'm just going to take these out, and then we will move forward and see if I can unbox some of the battle wagons. Here's one that's where the basing is on there. So just do that, and I will be right back. All right, before I go through some of the other bubble wrapped figures here, I did open one up, and it looked like it has pretty much everything that has a command pole or a banner pole associated or installed on the base. And also, we have a couple with the flag, which may have the bosses on there. So here's one that is pretty much fully painted. It's pretty cool. We have a orc boss here, or war boss. Right. And then we have, here's one that is with the banner pole installed and painted. So kind of cool. And here is one with the banner and the boss unpainted. So, all right, we're going to move on. All right, so after a little bit more digging, here are the battle wagons. I got a unit of 20, or a lot of, or I got a lot of 15 battle wagons here. I think I may need more. Obviously going to need more because I got quite a few infantry. So this one's partially painted in red, as you can see. This one's partially painted in black and white. And then we have ones that are painted partially in green. So these are kind of cool. Definitely repainting pretty much the entire army, but we'll get to that point. I do have one more thing to show off, and then I'm going to talk about my plans for this particular army and moving forward, and then we will end the video from there. All right, so included in the lot were these 5 stands on a different, longer base. First and second edition Space Marine Battles, or Epic 40K, have those square bases. But as they moved away from those two versions and actually started calling it Epic 40K, third edition, I believe, came up with these longer bases here. These figures might actually be newer. As you can see, they're different from what we've seen before. These look like Gretchen. And then another unit of Gretchen, because they're smaller. And then we have this group here. And I only have one stand of these, unfortunately, but these look like big Shudas. Or whatever I'm not an orc player, so I'm not as familiar. But I wish I had more of these, just so I had variety in my army. And then we have this, we have this command stand. I will probably use this one as my war boss for the orc mob here. There's a banner, looks like a mech boy or two. There's a Gretchen, and then the war boss there. So pretty cool. I'm just going to put these on the screen. We're going to talk a little bit about what my plans are. I definitely want to go full bore into classic Epic 40K, so Space Marine Battles, and I specifically have chosen version 2 because it really utilizes the Eldar Legion and then this orc mob that I just purchased. Though these figures are usable for any other version of Epic. I want to specifically target version 2. I do have a couple books from version 2. I have the core rule book on PDF. So I think that's just the direction that I'm going to go for Epic Battles 40K. That said, another thing that I will be focusing on is Legions Imperialis. I'm a big Horus Heresy fan. I love the lore and everything about the Horus Heresy, almost as if it's a historical version of 40K. Well, obviously it is. Those figures are 8mm compared to the 6mm of the original version of Epic 40K. So I'll be focused on those. Legions Imperialis only because I don't have the room. And I talked about this in terms of scaling down my wargaming hobby. I don't have the room to keep buying 28mm figures and sets and all that stuff. I did start Horus Heresy version 2, but I think I'm going to pull away from that and just do Legions Imperialis, because then I can get a bunch of very small figures, easier to store for me. I know it's not as cheap, or it doesn't change how much money I'm going to be investing in the Horus Heresy era, but obviously I'll have more space to store figures, and I could have larger armies, and I really like the mass battle aspect of it. Same thing with Epic, or at least in this case, Space Marine Battles version 2. I want to be able to do 40K, but at a mass scale, and that's the reason why I got the Eldar Legion box and then this Orc Mob lot from eBay. So anyway, that's it. That's what I'll be working on pretty soon. You'll see updates to the painting of these stands. I'm also looking on eBay to find more stuff to add to both armies. Obviously, Eldar, looking for aspect warriors and and their Titans, and then I will be looking for Gargants and other vehicles for both sides, stuff like that. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I appreciate it if you would. Click the bell notification icon to get notified of all new Space Marines battles, Epic 40K coming out of the channel, and then click the link in the description below to join our Discord server. That's the best way I can personally interact with you and chit-chat you about Epic 40K, Legions Imperialis, and everything else that I cover on the channel. That's it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Space Marine battles, Epic 40K from Wargaming Noob.